I read 16 books this month. Listen, I'm as shocked as you. Let's talk about them. Hello my friends, my name is Michaela. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things books. Today we've got my favourite video, my monthly reading wrap up, because these are all the books I read in April and I'm going to tell you what I thought of them. I'm literally going to drop these. No messing around, we're just going to get straight into it because honestly I feel like this video is going to be long enough as it is. Thank you so much for being here. I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. We're going to start out with the stats as always. If you're not interested in stats, I totally understand. I am a bit of a data geek. I will put timestamps down below, so feel free to skip ahead to wherever interests you the most. I read 15 books in the month of April, and I'm not quite sure how I did that, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It shocked me when it got to the end of the month and I checked that. I was like, what? How? That's a total of 4,967 pages. Who is she? 3 of those books were under 300 pages, so novellas, if you will, and the rest were all between 300 and 499 pages. We didn't have any chunky books this month, so we're going to try and put some chunky books in next month's TBR. We got my first non-fiction of the year. Normally every single month I'm here telling you like, oh, I promise I'm going to read more non-fiction. This month I did it. I read one non-fiction. Whether I like it or not, we'll get into that. And I'm going to be real with you, the genre breakdown was very, very mystery and thriller heavy this month. Last month it was more like leaning towards fantasy. This month it was predominantly mystery or thriller. And I do like to kind of read in a wider genre. I am really trying to change that. So again, we've mixed that up for next month's TBR to try and get like this graph to be a bit more varied. But I'm just a thriller girl through and through, you know. Like I feel like I've always been a thriller lover, always. And it's only recently I've tried to change that. So we are making improvements. The format in which I read these, I read 10 on my Kindle. Listen, I'm a Kindle girly. I don't know what to tell you. I listened to 4 on audio and 1 physical. Like, I predominantly read my books on my Kindle. I'm literally obsessed with my Kindle. Bury me with it. If you don't think audiobooks count as reading, just leave now. I'm joking, please don't. And my average rating for the month was 3.3. 3.3. That feels extremely low. And I was actually really shocked because I feel like I've read some really good books this month, but there was quite a lot of 2 stars, which I feel like has really brought the ratings down. But trust me, we've got to get rid of the negativity in the beginning, but we are going to talk about some really good books. So stick with me. It's not all negative here. 3.3 is really low though, isn't it? God. Okay, that is all the stats out the way. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into the book reviews. We are going to go from lowest to highest. So the beginning is going to feel quite negative, like I said. But I promise you, I'm going to give you some good book recommendations. But we're going to get the negativity out the way. And the first one is a DNF. So I DNF The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. And I DNF this, I want to say, at like 15%. I just wasn't vibing with it. Like I got 15% in. I couldn't care less where the story was going. The writing felt like really oldie worldy to me. Which like I don't know whether that was like a me issue or not. And I just wasn't in the right mood for this book. But yeah, sadly I DNF'd it at 15%. Is it a hard DNF? I don't know. Before we get into the next book, I am so excited to tell you that I have partnered with Wild to bring you today's video, to tell you about a product that I have been using for a while now and that I absolutely love. The refillable deodorant. This is such an easy, sustainable switch with a product that actually works. I mean, you can't ask for anything else, can you? I'm literally obsessed with these cases. How cute is that? You can even personalize them. And of course, they're reusable. So you just pop in your plastic-free refill and you're good to go. It's aluminium free, paraben free, vegan, and keeps you fresh all day. I'm currently using the cotton and sea salt one and it smells unreal. The next one I've got is the coconut and vanilla, which smells like holiday. If you've been thinking about more eco-friendly choices, this is the perfect one to start with. Wild have kindly given me a discount code which will get you 20% off your entire order for a limited time. You can use the QR code or my code Michaela. I'll put the link in the description and in the comments. So go check them out. Thank you so much to Wild for partnering with me on this video. Go check them out, guys. And now let's get back to the books. I may come back to this. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it totally. Because there may be a time where I think, yeah, because apparently it's got a magical cat. And like, I was really excited to read it because of that. But yeah, not for me this month, sorry. If you've read this book though, I would love to know like if I should give it another go. Let me know. The next book I'm going to talk about is Thank You for Calling the Lesbian Line by Elizabeth Lovatt, which is the non-fiction book that I read this month. I actually did do this one on audio. This book is described as a hidden history of queer women, and I am always really interested in learning. I love learning about the history of like LGBT, like how we got to where we are now, and how the times were so different to like where we've come to. And I thought that this was going to be following the people that worked on the lesbian lines back in the day. So in the 80s and 90s, there was the lesbian lines, which is where gay women, lesbians could call up if they were struggling with their sexuality and just talk to another lesbian, you know, a bit like the Samaritans. That's not really what this book is. Like, I don't know what this book was trying to do. It felt like part history. It was a bit of Elizabeth Lovatt's memoir. And like I said in a vlog, it's a bit mean, but like I said, if you are going to write a memoir, you've got to be a bit interesting, you know? Like if I'm going to pick up a memoir about someone, it's usually because I know who they are and I want to learn a bit more about them. I didn't sign up for that. But my biggest problem with this book lay with the ethics. It just didn't quite sit right for me. The author has done a deep dive into these lesbian lines and she's got access to logbooks. So obviously calls weren't recorded back in the day. So she is assessing these logbooks, if you like, and criticising them about like how the women dealt with the callers and talking about what the callers were like talking about. Now, obviously names have been changed for like data protection and things, but like I feel like, could these women be identified by like some of the stuff that is being said? And like, how do we know that these women aren't still in the closet? Do you know what I mean? And like the author was really criticising the women that was working on these lesbians, like bearing in mind that they were lesbians and they were doing this voluntarily. And like times were different. Is it right? No. But times were different in the 80s and 90s, do you know what I mean? All we can do is learn from that. Like, what's it going to achieve by criticising these women? Like, she could have gone out and found like these women who volunteered and interviewed them or something, maybe. But she didn't do that. And I just think, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. I'm not going to rate it. I never rate my non-fiction books anyway. But I don't recommend it. But just to give a bit of a positive, like I did learn some stuff about lesbians and gay history that I didn't actually know. So it wasn't all bad. I did learn some stuff. I was so excited to read Dorothy Koomson's My Other Husband. I read Every Smile You Fake by this author last year and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was the first book I read from Dorothy Koomson and I thought it was incredible. So I went into this with really high expectations. The premise of it sounded so good and I was so excited, and maybe that was my problem. So this book follows a woman called Cleo who is a best-selling author. She is a top author. She has her books turned into a TV show where she is also the screenwriter on that. She's married. She's literally living the dream life. When one day she turns around to the TV series, like production team, and like her husband, she says to her husband, I'm leaving you and I'm cancelling my TV show. Like is she having a midlife crisis? Like she's literally flipping the table on her whole life. And then the premise of this book says that people then start getting murdered and they are copying ways that happen in her TV show. So in her fictional TV show, they are recreating it in Cleo's actually like her own life. And I thought the premise sounded so good. And the first 50% of this book, I was really enjoying it. Like the writing, everything. But then I was like, nothing's happened. Everything that is in the blurb of this book have not happened at 50%. And I was like, this is the slowest burn of all slow burns. And I don't mind a slow-paced book. I really don't. But I feel like 50%, something should have probably happened. Then I want to say I got to like 60% and I was like feeling like I was slumping because I was just waiting for something to happen. Something that wasn't coming. So I was like, right, I'm going to put it down. I am going to finish it, but I need to just dip out for now. I then went back to it on audio, I want to say like a week or two later, but by that point I was too far gone. I just didn't care. Like when like reveals did start happening at like the 80 to 90% mark, I was too far gone. I was like, no, I literally don't care anymore. So sadly, I'm giving this book 2 stars. And I'm actually really sad about it. I do think that's a bit of a problem, like when you go into books, you know, like with really high expectations. Yeah, no. The next book I gave 2 stars was A.K. Benedict's Little Red Death. And again, this is one where the premise sounds so good. Like I say it all the time, I never go into like books wanting to hate them. I go into every single book thinking it's going to be a 5-star. Like, why wouldn't you? So like talking about books I've been so excited for does make me sad. But the reason that I've not liked a book could be the reason that you end up loving it. And that's why I think negative book reviews are just as important as positive book reviews, because at the end of the day, reading's so subjective. And based on the things I'm telling you, you could think, oh, do you know what? That sounds like something I could really like. So, yeah. So this book starts out and we're following a woman called Lila, who's a police detective, and she has just been given the case of her career. She is trying to find a serial killer who is killing people using the same methods as fairy tales, like Hansel and Gretel, that kind of thing. So, I mean, it was giving me Once Upon a Time, the TV show vibes. I don't know if any of you ever watched it. I literally loved it. But I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think it's playing on the fact that some of the fairy tales are quite dark. You know, like Grimm's fairy tales. I feel like Disney adapted them to be like cute. But like the Grimm original fairy tales were quite dark. So this serial killer is copying those. So the detective is on the case to try and find him. I, again, enjoyed this book. I want to say up until like the 40% mark. And then it went off the rails. And not in a good way. I feel like this book doesn't know what genre it wanted to be. Like, this is advertised as a thriller. And, like, I would kind of disagree. I think it's only a thriller because of, like, the serial killer. The bit and at, like, 40%, like, we start going into, like, maybe fantasy, maybe magical realism. So, like, if you're hearing these things and liking that, this could be one for you. And I'm gonna be real with you, I didn't understand it. I literally didn't understand it. Like when it got to like that bit where all that started kicking in, it just lost me, and I just thought, I've got no idea what you're on about, A.K. Benedict's hen. I did buddy read this with my friend Cal, and she felt literally exactly the same. Like I feel like it had potential and it just lost itself in the second half. This is the second book that I've not enjoyed by A.K. Benedict, so maybe she's just not the author for me. The other one was The Christmas Jigsaw Murders. I actually DNF'd that one. So yeah, maybe me and this author just aren't friends. She doesn't know we're not friends, but shh. Do you know what's actually really cringe? I've actually got a tattoo that says shh. That I had it when I was 18, alright? Double Mocha Blues by Tyora Moody is a cozy mystery that's set in a coffee shop. Literally, what a vibe. I love cozy mysteries because they always just have the best settings. So a coffee shop, I literally love coffee. This follows our main character called Joss, who is working in this coffee shop, but she also has a true crime podcast where she talks about her granddad. Her granddad was sadly killed and his murderers were never brought to justice. So she's talking about this on her podcast when some of the family members of the people who were suspected of killing her granddad aren't happy with it. They're kicking off. Joss gets into an argument with one of them one day and then she turns up dead. So obviously Joss is automatically suspect number 1. I love the setting of this. Like I said, I love the coffee shop setting. This coffee shop, they have like live music nights. They have like art from like all local artists in there. I could really see the setting in my mind. And I just couldn't gel with the main character. Like I didn't really like her, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought she was making some very silly decisions. And there was also a bit of a romance subplot, which I thought was entirely inappropriate, if I'm being honest with you. And like some of the language that was being used, like she kept on referring to herself as a chick, and all that was going through my mind was groovy chick. So I just didn't gel with it. I didn't hate it. I'm gonna give it straight down the middle, 2.5 stars. It's probably not one that I'm going to continue with the series. Cozy mystery is like a brand new genre to me. I want to say I've only been reading it for like 2 or 3 months. So I think I'm still like finding my feet, you know, on like what works for me and like what sort of cozy mysteries I like. I didn't have any 3 stars this month. I actually didn't have any 3 stars, which is unlike me. I do like a 3-star rating if I'm being honest. But yeah, I didn't have any. But I did have 2 3.5 stars. And the first one is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I absolutely love it when thriller books do something different. Like it's got a bit of a unique premise, you know? Like I feel like because I've read so many thriller books, I am really, really hard to please. But I do like it, yeah, when there's like a bit of a unique premise. And I do like a dystopian theme, and this is a dystopian thriller. This is set in a world where the rest of the world are dead and gone. A fog came over the world and killed everyone, apart from the people that managed to escape to this island. So the rest of the world is covered in this poisonous fog, but these scientists got to this island and put up like a barrier where the fog can't get to them. So they're the only ones left in the world. Everyone's living in harmony. They've all got their jobs to do. Like, they've got some like really cool stuff that like they do in there. I don't want to say what it is because I don't think it's classed as a spoiler, but like I think it's fun to like find out as you're going through the book. Essentially, they can't lie. Like, they've got this like mysterious god that is like looking after them, and it is impossible for them to lie. But then one day, one of the scientists gets murdered. This scientist was the one who was protecting the barrier. So now they've got 107 hours to find out what happened to save the world. Otherwise, this fog's going to get in and they're all going to die. So I feel like if you like a mysterious, like dystopian, but still a thriller, this would be the book for you. The reason I'm giving it 3.5 stars is because I did the majority of this on audio and I found myself getting a bit confused. I found myself getting a bit lost in the story and not knowing like entirely what was going on. I think it's not one of those books, it's not a popcorn thriller, it's a book that you've really got to sit down and immerse yourself within the story. So I think because I was listening to it on audio, I think maybe like I was like subconsciously missing bits, and which is a me problem. I'm finding out why I was like, that's why I was getting confused. But overall, I like the ending. I did like where the story went, so I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I've got another book by Stuart Turton on my radar, and I think it's maybe his most popular one. I think it's called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I always used to get it confused with like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but no, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I think that again is like maybe not dystopian, but magical realism maybe, and I've heard really good things about that, so let me know if you've read it. This book should have got an extra star for that flop, because that is so satisfying, isn't it? But I gave 3.5 stars to Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. Now, I read this in a vlog, and I'm pretty sure I told you I gave it 4 stars. I did originally. I'm dropping it to 3.5 stars on reflection. Does anyone else do that? I always like change my ratings, like after I've sat on them for a bit. So this getting dropped to a 3.5, but still good. So this follows the story of Poe. Poe has a successful true crime podcast. I bloody just love a podcast trope. I literally love it. She's got this podcast where she invites people on to confess to their crimes anonymously. So she basically is giving criminals a platform to come on and say what they did, but like nobody's then gonna know who they is. I mean, there's some questionable ethics behind like that, isn't there really? Anyway, sadly, Poe's mum was killed when she was younger, when one day someone comes on the podcast and they're like, I killed your mum. And she's like, I think you'll find that you didn't, because I found the person that killed my mum and I killed him, so you're lying. So like, who is this bloke? Do you know what I mean? Is he telling the truth? Like, or did she kill the wrong person? I did this one a mix on audio and physical. I would say like I did it 50-50 to be perfectly honest with you. And like the audiobook was good, don't get me wrong. Like it was a performance. Like the voice actors were acting. But like a bit of it was a bit cringe, I'm not gonna lie. There is actually some QR codes in this book where like you can scan it and it'll take you onto a website, and then like there's an actress like acting a scene out, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit cringe. I was listening to the audiobook with Amy and she really couldn't get on board with it because they were doing the most. But overall, I thought it was a good popcorn thriller. Probably a bit too long. How many pages actually is it? It's like 420 pages long. Probably a bit too long, but the reason I'm knocking it down 0.5 star is because the main character, Poe, her language was foul. Listen, I have got a potty mouth. I swear all the time and people tell me off for it all the time. But she was too much. The amount of times that she kept on calling people mother. Every time it happened, I was like, oh, come on. Find a new insult. So yeah, I'm being petty and I'm knocking it 0.5 star down because I feel like that amount of swearing just wasn't needed, you know. I am keeping this book though because this so satisfying. Why can't they make all books like this? I had 4 4-star books this month. What the hell? 4 of them. Like, these are all books that I really, really recommend to you. The first one is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. Now, disclaimer, I actually only finished this morning, and I'm torn between like a 4 or a 4.5. So let me sit on it. That could change, but for now I'm just going to put it in as a 4, like as a worst case scenario. If I did 0.25 star ratings, it probably would be a 0.25, to be honest. So the author of this book is actually Ashley Flowers, who is the host of Crime Junkie, which is a true crime podcast, like a real life true crime podcast. And it's a podcast that I've always been a fan of for like such a long time. But I think she ghost wrote this, because even though it doesn't say it here, on other copies, I've seen like where it says Ashley Flowers with, and then another author's name. So I wondered, like, do you reckon she actually wrote it? Or do you reckon she just put her name on it? So this is set in a small town in Indiana where 25 years ago, a little girl called January was found dead. And they never caught the person that did it. But they thought that the people that did it were her parents. Like, they were the main suspects. Well, not her parents, like the mum. She was the main suspect. And like the little girl, January, that like sadly got killed, she was a dancer. And like they talk about how like she was wearing or like makeup and she looked older than what she was. And I was thinking, oh, this is a bit close to the John Benet Ramsey case. And I thought, oh God, I hope we're not going to go down that route. But it does like deviate from that. And then a journalist called Margot has just moved back to the Indiana town, and she was friends with January Jacobs when she was a little girl, and she's now a journalist and she's investigating that historical crime. And then another little girl has just gone missing. So like, are they connected, you know? Every time I read this book physically, I fell asleep. Literally, I fell asleep every time I read it. Like, I would literally read 2 pages and fall asleep. So I don't know what that says about the book. I switched to audio because I was like, no, I'm actually invested in this story. But I just kept on falling asleep every time I picked it up. So I switched to audio. The audiobook is on BookBeat, which I was very pleasantly surprised about. We all know how much I love BookBeat. If you want a link to a free trial, it's in the description. Go check it out. It's my favourite audiobook site. And the audiobook was incredible. I think like audiobook narrators can like really make or break a book, and the audiobook narrator in this case, she was fantastic. I actually had a look, and she also narrates Stacey Willingham's books, and I've listened to a couple of Stacey Willingham's books on audio, and I've really liked those. So clearly I like this narrator, and yeah, she pulled it back for me, and I was really, really invested in the story. I didn't guess where it was going to go. I've seen a lot of people saying they didn't like the ending, but like I really liked the ending. I thought it was great. Ashley Flowers, or her ghostwriter, has another book coming out in May, and I'm definitely going to be picking that up. I think it's called The Missing Half. So yeah, if you've not read this book, go check it out. Bloody hell, I'm hot. Honestly, it's like 20 degrees in the UK at the minute, more maybe, and I'm in a bloody jumper. What is wrong with me? The next book I read was The New Neighbours by Claire Douglas. This is an advanced copy, so I'll put the actual like cover on the screen. I'll put it up here because yeah, the front looks like this. Everybody always says to me, like, why are you holding it on the side? I'm like, because the front looks like that. It doesn't tell you what the book is. Claire Douglas is the queen of domestic thrillers. Like, don't get me wrong, her plots are like nothing special. Like, they're not really that unique. But she just has a way of like pulling you into the story, and they are such easy reads because of that, because like they're not too complex, but like the twists always get me. They get me every single time. So this follows a woman who lives in like a terraced house with her son, and one day her son comes home from school with like some recording equipment. He's got a project for his music class where he's got to record sounds. So they're testing it out, and our main character has just got a new neighbour. So they're testing it out, and they hear the new neighbours confessing to a crime. Actually, they're not confessing, they're plotting a crime. And she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I mean, you just mind your own business. That's what I would personally do, but not our main character, because it probably wouldn't actually make a good book otherwise, would it? So she starts investigating. She starts looking into like what this disappearance is, and she thinks they might be connected to like some missing people. So I had no idea of where this story was actually going. Oh, I just want to add as well, like the people who moved in next door, they're like in their 60s. They're not like some young couple. They're like these older people who like she's accusing of offing people. I just thought it was so easy to read. I had a great time reading it. Like I said, it was just such an easy read. I didn't guess where it was going to go. I honestly thought it could have been a 5 stars, but the ending, I think the ending could have gone further. I think I wanted a bit more from the ending. I think Claire Douglas could have, like, in my opinion, like my irrelevant ass, never written a book opinion, she could have like took it a bit further, maybe a bit darker. And I think it could have been a 5 star, you know. I'm actually getting Amy to read this now because she was reading another book I'm going to speak about and it was giving her nightmares. So she wanted something that was a bit lighthearted. So I've given her The New Neighbours. She's reading that now. Oh my God, I forgot a 3.5 star. Unravelling Oliver by Liz Nugent. I also gave this book 3.5 stars. This is my second to last book that I had to read from Liz Nugent. It was only a short one. It was like 200 pages. And it basically follows a man called Oliver who has just beaten his wife up and like she's now in a coma. And people are like, what the hell? Like, they're a perfect couple. Like, where's this come from? What's made him do that? And we then follow like him and his friends as they're like telling you about Oliver and who he is as a person and what led up to him doing that to his wife. Liz Nugent writes real character-driven stories, and I always say, like, if you're a character-driven reader, you would like Liz Nugent because she doesn't really do plot. There really isn't any plot in this one, really. It is just a character study of this horrible, horrible man. And I think it was actually my least favourite book that I've read from Liz Nugent, which is why I only gave it 3.5 stars. But again, I didn't hate it. I've just got one book left to read from her now, which is... go watch my May TBR video. I'll link it up above and in the description. Shameless plug, you know. The next 4-star book I want to talk to you about is Grey After Dark by Noelle W. Eiley. This is my first book that I read by Noelle W. Eiley, and I was pleasantly not surprised. I enjoyed it. Like, I kind of knew I would. I don't know why, I had a good feeling going into it. So this book follows a girl called Miley who is she's on track to be an Olympic superstar, but she needs to get a summer job in the meantime. So she's got a summer job at this summer lodge place where she's going to help out. And people are saying, like, just be careful, like, where you're going running in the woods because a girl got killed by a bear. And she's like, I can outrun a bear, no problem. What she can't outrun is people who are going to kidnap her. So yeah, Miley gets kidnapped, and the book is about following her as she's with these kidnappers and trying to escape. To me, it read like a horror movie. Like, I feel like this could be a horror movie. Like, I really, really could. I wouldn't say like it's your typical thriller. It's not really twisty or anything. It was just anxiety inducing. Like, I literally felt claustrophobic. I was like rooting for Miley. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely different to what I thought it was going to be when I went into it, but in a good way. So this is actually based on a true story, which I didn't know. Yeah, it's based on a true story about a woman named, oh my God, what is her name? Miley. Same as the main character, Miley Petrowski. It's inspired by real events that took place in the summer of 1984. So that makes the book even more terrifying, I think, that the fact it is based on a true story. I do want to talk about something though that's giving me the ick. It's giving me the ick and I don't know how I feel about it. So our kidnappers in this book, they are, I think it's Miley actually, she says like, run rabbit run. That's like a theme that's like constantly said throughout the book. Noelle W. Eiley's brought out merch that says run rabbit run. And I don't quite know how I feel about that. I feel like maybe that's a bit distasteful, knowing that like this is based on a real story. Like whether that is linked to the true story or not. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. How does that make you feel? I also don't want to wear a t-shirt that says run rabbit run and then the book's name on it. Do you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. The next book I gave 4 stars was Slice of Murder by Rosie A. Point, which is a 100-page cozy mystery. I didn't know a 100-page cozy mystery, like how much I could love it. But oh my God, I did. I was actually deceived going into it though, because I have got the paperback copy and this is like 200 pages. But let me show you the size of the font in the book because literally like size 22 large print. Like, so when I read it on my Kindle, it was actually only 100 pages. So it was kind of like a one sit-in read. And I would really recommend this book to you if you're in a reading slump, because it'll just get you straight back out of it. I always think you should go into cozy mystery books just knowing that you're going to have a fun time. Like, they're not that serious. Like, they are quite silly. Like, people die maybe in silly ways. Like, this one dies with a slice of pizza in his mouth. I mean, I think that's a pretty good way to go. But yeah, and I just think you just go into them with like no expectations and just know you're gonna have a fun time. And this is no different because it's set in New York, it's set in a pizza shop where our main character has just gone back home, like to the town that she's from, and she's gone to her uncle's pizza shop. She fires the chef as soon as he gets in there because he's doing a terrible job. And then he turns up dead with a piece of pizza in his mouth. A piece of pizza! My only criticism of this book is I wish there was more pizza. Like, I literally wish there was more pizza talk. So I am going to carry on with the series. I'm really, really excited to. This is a series that's on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm just hoping it's going to give me more pizza, you know, because it's my favourite food in the entire world. Like, the book actually said, but when Gina arrives, expecting a warm, cheesy welcome. I'm literally obsessed. I have one regret for this book, and that is that I didn't read it sooner. In the Blink of an Eye by Joe Callahan has been on my radar, I want to say, for like 2 years. And I was always putting it off, and I don't know why. And what a mistake that was, because this book was incredible. If you're a fan of like police procedural books, you need to pick this up because it's a police procedural book with a difference. Because our main character has been tasked to like team up with an AI detective. So we've kind of got like that unique spin on it. Like, she's got this AI detective named Aid Locke, and like he comes out of her smartwatch as like a hologram, and like she doesn't want him there, by the way. She's like, no, you cannot solve crimes. So it's about how like they're working together. This is the pilot scheme for it. And like, I feel like the author represented like AI, like the good and the bad of it in this book, because like that's such a topic of discussion right now, isn't it? Like how AI is replacing people's jobs and stuff. So like, could AI replace the police force? Well, you'll have to read the book to find out, because I don't think they could. Like, obviously I'm not going to get into spoilers, but like they turn up to a family's house to say like, oh, we're really sorry, but like we found your son passed away. And obviously the police detective delivers this with like emotion and like empathy. And the AI, obviously because they've got no human emotion or empathy, they're like, yeah, he's dead, sorry. He doesn't even say sorry, actually. But then on the flip side of that, the AI can analyse social media posts in like 0.2 seconds when it would take like a team of police officers a week to do that. So I do feel like it's very relevant discussions in the world that we're in currently. But I do feel like the AI, he's got a good personality, you know, which is weird. Didn't ever think those words would come out my mouth, and like seeing how they work together, it was so good. This is one I actually did do on audio. I did it all on audio, and the reason I'm not giving it 5 stars, I'm giving it 4.5, is because the ending went off a little bit. I found myself getting a tiny bit confused with the ending. It went a bit like actiony, which I didn't love. But the rest of the story, oh my god, I literally can't wait to carry on with the rest of the books. I've actually already started book 2. I'm listening to Leave No Trace, which is the second book, and then book 3 is Human Remains, which has just literally come out last month. So I really, really, really urge you to go and pick this book up. It's one that I've not seen really many people talking about, deserves so much hype. Like I said, I can't wait to carry on the series, and I'm making all my mates read it. I'm literally telling them all to read it. You know how I said I like to change my ratings of books like after I've like finished reading them? This one I originally gave 5 stars. However, upon reflection, I'm dropping it to a 4.5, and that is The Fellowship of Puzzle Makers by Samuel Burr. So the reason I'm dropping this down is because to me, a 5-star book is a book that is like perfection and will stay with me. And like I don't know, I can recommend it like with chest. And like whilst I do agree with a lot of those things when it comes to this book, since I finished it, I've not really thought about it. So is it a 5-star? I'm probably being really pedantic. It's not that deep. Like, it's actually not that deep. But I'm dropping it to a 4.5. It's my ratings. Again, this is one that I don't think I've seen like many people speaking about. Like, hardly any people actually. And I'm not sure what genre I would categorise it. When I bought this book, I thought it was a thriller for some reason. I don't know why. And then I got it and I seen the cover and it was like truly heartwarming, hugely uplifting, utterly beautiful, bursting with hope. And I was like, it's not really giving thriller book, that is it's not, is it? So yeah, when I went into it, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. So in this book, we follow Clay. Clay has been brought up in this house. It's like kind of like a commune where everyone lives together, and they are the Fellowship of Puzzle Makers. They are like the smartest people in the UK, like when it comes to doing quizzes, doing puzzles, that kind of thing. And they all live in this big commune. When one day, well, actually not one day, the book follows Clay as he's an adult, but he was found on the steps of the Fellowship of Puzzle Makers, abandoned when he was a baby. And like nobody knew where he come from, but like these people in the house took him in and raised him as their own. He's always known that that is the case. And like one of the women he called his mum, like she was the one who primarily brought him up. And she has sadly just passed away. But because everybody in this house is puzzle makers, when she's passed away, she's left him clues and puzzles to find out where he really came from. So he is now on this mission to like solve all the clues and the crosswords that she has left him so he can finally find out like where he originated from. And it's just the most wholesome story. I was reading this book like so many times I wanted to cry, but I don't cry because I'm a bitch. I was bursting with hope. Yeah, I actually was. And initially I thought that I would have to solve the puzzles, and I was thinking, oh, this ain't gonna go very well. I'm not very clever. Like, this ain't gonna go down well. We're gonna be here till the end of the year. But you don't. So don't worry. Like, the puzzles are solved for you. They are there if you want to have a go at them, but you don't need to. I can confirm I did not. And yeah, this is just one I think the genre I would class it as is cozy mystery, but not like typical like cozy mystery like the pizza ones. Like, I do think it was kind of like, I don't know, I'm hesitant to like compare it to like Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club because I didn't like that book, but like obviously it's got the older characters and things in there, so maybe. But I just know I didn't like that book. Please, please, please go pick this up. I think it has just come out in paperback. So this is your sign. This is your sign to read this book. And I would love, love, love if you could come back and tell me what you thought of it. And then the last book I want to talk to you about is technically the only 5-star of the month. We did give the last book 5 stars, but it's been demoted. And yeah, this is the only 5-star. The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier. Not just the only 5-star, the only 5-star thriller book that I have given in 2025. We're 5 months in to 2025, and this is the only thriller book I've given 5 stars. I absolutely love Jennifer Hillier as an author. I think I have given every single one of her books that I have read 5 stars. Like, she has cemented herself as one of my top authors. I've got 2 books left of her backlist, and then I'm going to do a ranking video for you, which is going to be really hard if they all carry on being 5 stars, really, isn't it? I think you should go into this book blind, because I don't think the blurb even scratches the surface of what actually happens in this book. There were so many times in the first, I want to say like 3 chapters, where I gasped out loud. Like, in the first 3 chapters, things that aren't on the blurb, and to me, the first 3 chapters aren't spoilers, but I think you should go into it and have that same experience as what I did. Just know going into it that it is an extremely dark thriller book. I actually got Amy to read this after I finished it because I was like, wow, incredible, you need to read it. And she had to stop, I want to say about 30% through, because it was giving her nightmares. So take with that one with what you will. Like, yeah, it is very dark. Poor Amy reads to help her go to sleep, and I'm like, sure, read The Butcher. This book weirdly felt like unique. It felt fresh. Like, it felt like nothing I'd read before, but it was actually written 11 years ago, which is mental. Like, actually mental. And I do feel like it's aged quite well, to be honest. And I still don't feel like I've read anything quite like this. So yeah, it's my favourite book of the month. I think you should go into it pretty much blind, just knowing that you're following a guy that's called The Butcher, and it's very, very dark. That's all I'm going to tell you. God, I was going to pick them all back up to like end the video, and I can't do it. I'm literally so hot. I've been filming this video for over an hour, stood in the same spot. I can't do it, guys. I can't pick them up. If you've got this far into the video, Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you're not subscribed, you may as well subscribe now. You've been here long enough. Thank you so, so much for watching. Let me know what your favourite book of April was. And I'll see you next time.